All praises to the Most High. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shem Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. And I'm going to do a lesson on discerning light from darkness. And I'm going to start with the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 3 through 5. And it reads, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." Verse 4, "And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from darkness." Verse 5, "And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day." I want you to understand what he was saying in verse 4. "And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness." Now I'm going to go to the book of John. I'm going to go to chapter 11, and I'm going to start at verse 9 through 10. And this is Hamashiach Yahushai speaking. It's all red right here. It says, "Hamashiach answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world." The Most High said there's 12 hours in the day. I know they tell us there's 24 in this society, but he said there's 12 hours in the day. And he says, because he seeth the light of this world. And verse 10, "But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him." Verse 11, "These things said he, and after that he said unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep." So the Most High is making a distinction from the light and the day, the darkness from the night. Shalakia, the darkness from the night. He saw that the light, it was good. The light was good, and the darkness is representing the sin and wickedness. Now I'm going to go to John chapter 3, verse 19 through 21. Go over to John chapter 3. Verses 19 through 21. And then this is Yahushua speaking again. And he said, "And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil." So Yahushua said men love darkness rather than the light, because darkness from the beginning is just making a distinction from the day, the walking in the day. The light is representing righteousness, and the darkness is just representing wickedness. Verse 20. Let me read verse 19, Shalakia. Read that again. "And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil." 20. "For every one that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deed should be reproved." So people that are in the dark, they don't want to come to the light, because they don't want to be corrected, and they don't want people to see their deeds that are not right. Verse 21. "But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God." They're not going to hide anything, because they're going to let everybody see that what they're doing is wrought in God. They're doing the things that God said. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Matthew. I'm going to go down to the book of Matthew, chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 13. And I'm going to read through to verse 16. It says, "Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his Savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and be trodden under foot of men." So Yahushua is saying we are the salt and the light. But if the salt has lost its flavor, how can you be seasoned? You're good for nothing. We have to let our light shine. And we're going to get to that. Verse 14. "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." So when the Lord gives you this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you can't hide it under a bushel. You have to let it be seen, and you have to bring it out and teach it to your brothers and your sisters. Verse 15. "Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it gives light unto all that are in the house." So he's letting you know that you can't hide it. You have to let your light shine. 16. "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So we have to always let our light shine. We have to, every day, we have to wake up, we have to pray, we have to fast, meditate, study to show ourselves approved. We have to continue to do this run in this race with endurance to the end. We have to tarry on until Christ returns. Now I'm going to go over to Matthew 6. And I'm going to read 19 through 24. And it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Verse 20. And this is Yahushua speaking again. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. So he's telling us we need to always think on him, to seek ye first the kingdom. Don't worry about all the carnal things. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. But you have to keep your eyes focused on him. And verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Verse 22, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. So the Most High he's talking about how the eyes, they tell the story. It kind of goes with what the prophet Isaiah said in Isaiah 3, I believe it says, the shew of their countenance, it does witness against them. They hide at night, hide it not. It's always written on people's faces, whatever it is they're doing. And we can read people and judge them spiritually. We can't judge them the way the Most High is going to pass that judgment when he cracks that sky. But you can read people and discern spiritually. That's how we can do it. Verse 23. But if thine eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? So it's going to show. It's going to show what kind of... Christ also said in Matthew that a tree is known by its fruit. And it's always going to show what kind of tree, what it's adorned with, the way the person lives, the way the person acts. The countenance, the way they carry themselves, their gait, their excessive laughter, all these things tell the story of how they are. And then verse 24 in Matthew, it says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So the Most High is saying we have to make a choice. We can't serve both. We can't serve him and mammon. We can't serve him and the world. We got to choose this day whom we're going to serve, like Yahshua said. We have to make that choice. And from there, I'm going to go to back to the book of John. Book of John, and I'm going to go to chapter 8. Shalakia. Just bear with me. This is my big Bible, big study Bible. And I'm going to read verse 12. Then spake a Mashiach again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. So anyone that's following him, they're not going to walk in darkness. Remember in John 11 when he said, there is 12 hours in the day, but if you're walking in the night, you shall stumble. But if you're following the light of this world, you're going to always be able to see clearly. If you're following the light, and that light is Christ. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Proverbs. Go to Solomon, Proverbs 4. Go to Proverbs 4 and verse 18. And that reads, just past it. Let's see, Proverbs 4. Oh, here we go. Verse 18. But the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. So, remember back in Genesis when we first started, how he said God created the day and he seen that it was good. See, when he made Adam, he blew into him the breath of life. He blew the law, statutes, and commandments into him and made him a living soul. But he had the breath of life. He gave him all those commandments. And and the day was good. That's representing righteousness. Let me read it again. But the Proverbs 4, verse 18. But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. And that's why we want to be just like Christ. We want to strive to be perfect. People say, no one's perfect. Yeah, there was a few people other than Yahushua perfect in the Bible. So he wants us to strive for perfection. This is what he actually said that in Matthew 5 and 48. Yahushua said, to be ye therefore perfect as I am perfect. And now I'm going to go back to the book of John, chapter 9. The book of John. I'm going to go to chapter 9 and verse 4. And that reads, I must work, and this is Yahushua speaking. He said, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. And then he said in verse 5, I'm going to read verse 5. He said, as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. See, Yahushua was the light of the world. So he was talking to his disciples then, and the Pharisees and all those people back in the time of Rome. He was saying as long as he was in the world, he was the light of the world. Now he's up in the spiritual realm, but he left his light in the scriptures. That's why we got to stay in the scriptures. When you're in the scriptures, you're in the light, as long as you're keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, following everything he left in these scriptures. Then you're still in the light. And from there, I'm going to stay in the book of John, chapter 9. I'm going to go to verse 39. 39 through 41, and that reads, and Yahushua said, for judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. So he had to tell those Pharisees because they had a lot of pride, and they were always teaching the laws, but they weren't being a doer of the law. So he was always telling them, if you guys are saying that you can see, well, why are you still in sin? If you're saying you can see, you shouldn't be sinning. So, and then the blind part, he wants us to become blind to all the carnal things around us. Yes, we need things, but you don't have the love of money or the love of things, of carnal things. You have to seek ye first the kingdom of Christ, and then all these things will be added to you. That's all he's saying. And let's see, verse 40. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, are we blind also? So they were asking Yahushua. And Yahushua, verse 41, said unto them, if you were blind, you should have no sin. He says, if you couldn't see, you wouldn't be, if you saying that you weren't being able to see, you would have no sin. But now you see, now you say we see, therefore your sin remaineth. So if you're saying that you can see, Christ is saying then you shouldn't be sinning. That's all he was trying to tell them. If you're saying you can see, then you shouldn't be sinning. You have to live like a blind man as far as the carnal things around you and all the stuff this society is pushing at you. That's the blind part. You have to become blind to all that. Like it's there, but you have to act like it's not there. In other words, you have to act like you don't see it. You see it, but you don't. You have to stay in the spirit about everything. And from there, I'm going to go, from there, I'm going to stay in the book of John, chapter 9, and I'm going to go to verse 31. And that reads, now we know that Yahweh heareth not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth. So if you're not doing the things that God says in the Bible, he's going to hear you, but he's not going to answer your prayers. This is the keys to the answered prayer. You have to be a doer of what he says. Because David covered this. He said, Psalms 40 verse 8, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yeah, thy laws are within my heart. We have to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of God. Then you're doing the will. And from there, I'm going to go to stay in the book of John. I'm going to go over to chapter 12. Let's see here. Chapter 12. And I'm going to read verse 40 or 25 to 26. And that reads, He that loveth his life shall lose it. This is Yahushua again. And he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. So he's saying, this is saying how we have to give up some things. We have to give up all the stuff that's wickedness here and follow Yahushua. Verse 26, If any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. So the ones that are doing the things he wants, doing his will on that day, his Father's going to honor them. And from there, I'm going to jump over to, I'm going to stay in the chapter 12 of John, and I'm going to go to verse 46 through 50. And that reads, it's Yahushua again. He says, I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in the darkness. So Yahushua said, if you're following me, you're not going to abide in that darkness. You're going to always be in the light. Verse 47, And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. Yahushua said he wasn't going to judge him. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He came to save us from all our sins and iniquities. And verse 48, He that rejected me and receiveth not my words hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. So Yahushua is making it pretty clear that the people, when they reject this, they're not rejecting us. They were rejecting him when he was out in Rome doing his ministry. He got rejected. But the people that were rejecting him, this is what the Most High said. He that rejected me and receiveth not my words hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. Verse 49, For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment what I should say and what I should speak. So everything that Yahushua was saying was what the Most High gave him to say. Verse 50, And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak. So everything that Yahushua was saying was coming from Yahweh himself, the one sitting between the cherubims up there and in the spiritual realm. And Yahushua is seated on the right hand of him. So anybody that's rejecting these words and rejecting him, they're rejecting the Most High God himself. That's what they're rejecting. And from there, I'm going to stay in the book of John, chapter 12. And I'm going to go to verse 35 and 36. Then Hamashiach said unto them, Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. This is all about the light. This whole lesson is about the light. Anyone that's not following Yahushua is in darkness. This is what he's saying here. Verse 36. While you have light, believe in the light, that you may be the children of the light. These things spake Yahushua and departed and did hide himself from them. They're always trying to kill him because he was bringing this truth to them. This is why people attack us when we're out on the highways and byways. They don't like the truth. A lot of people, they like the smooth things. Like Isaiah said, they want to hear lies and they want to hear deceits. But when it comes to this truth, a lot of people don't want to hear it. But this is what's going to save them. This is for their salvation. This is what's going to save them from all this destruction that's coming. And from there, I'm going to go to chapter 13. And I'm going to read verse 20 in chapter 13. John 13, verse 20. And that reads, and it's Yahushua again. He said, Verily, verily, truly, truly, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send, receiveth me. And he that receiveth me, receiveth him that sent me. So now, Yahushua is making a statement here. He's saying the ones that he sent, they have to receive them. So all we are is vessels. and servants. That's what we're doing. We're doing God's work. We're doing Yahushai's work. Yahushai was doing Yahweh's work, and so now we're doing Yahushai and Yahweh's work. We're doing the things he told us to do. This is what we're doing. But let me read that again. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me. And he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. They receive him, Yahushai, and Yahweh too. If you're receiving the servants of God, the ones that are out there on the highways, the ones that are bringing this word in sincerity and in truth. We're not talking about the people in all those Sunday churches who's deceiving the masses. We're talking about the people that are bringing out the truth with sincerity. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Isaiah. I'm going to go to the prophet Isaiah. Just bear with me. This is my big study Bible. And I'm going to go to chapter 6 in the book of Isaiah. And I'm going to go to verse 8. And that reads, Also, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then said I, Here I am, send me. And this is what we're saying. Here we are, Lord. We'll do it. Because remember, he said in John 15, You did not choose me, but I have chose you, and appointed you and ordained you that you should go out and bear fruit, and that your fruit remain. I'm just paraphrasing the parable in John 15. So this is what he wanted us to do. He's telling us he's looking for people to go out and do this work. This is what he wants. So we've chosen to do this. And from there, I'm going to go to the Apocrypha. I'm going to go to the book. Actually, there's one more in Isaiah. Shalakia 6, and it's verse 9 through 11. Let me jump over to 9 through 11. And he said, Go and tell this people, Hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Because he knew a lot of people weren't going to understand it, and they weren't going to receive it. Because if the Lord is not revealing this truth to you, you're not even going to get it. He has to reveal it, like he said in Matthew. He'll reveal this truth to whom he chooses to reveal it to. And then verse 10, he said, Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed. So there is going to be a third that's going to wake up. And that's what we're praying. We're praying for that third, and for that elect to wake up. Because 144,000 has to be sealed. And let's see, verse 11. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he said, Until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without a man, and the land be utterly desolate. So we don't want to be those people that wait till all that destruction. You don't want to be there and then calling on the Lord when all the ICBM missiles are coming, when all hell breaks loose. You don't want to be calling on him on that day, because when in Proverbs he said he's going to laugh at your calamity on that day, because when he called, no man regarded, and they sought none of his reproofs. So the people that are just playing around on that day going to be calling on him. He said he's going to laugh in the book of Proverbs chapter 1. He said he's going to laugh at their calamity then. And from there, I'm going to go to the Apocrypha, which is the hidden books. And I'm going to go, but they're not hidden no more, because now we understand this. The Lord is showing it to us now. It was hidden from us for a while, but now we got it. And I'm going to read Baruch 4, verse 1 and 2. This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So this is serious. He said all those that keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, they're going to come to life. They're going to be illuminated. And I'm going to read verse 2. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light, therefore, that thou mayest be illuminated. So this is what Christ was talking about. Wake up, sleepers, and arise from the dead, and Christ will give thee light. And from there, I'm going to go back to the book of Isaiah. And I'm already there, so I'm just going to go over to chapter 8 and verse 20, and that reads, To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So anybody that's speaking anything if it's not according to the words of God, Yahweh is saying through the prophet Isaiah, there is no light in them. This is what he's saying. There's no light in them. That's why we got to let everything that comes out be edifying and uplifting, so that it may minister grace to the hearers. This is what we have to do daily, all day, every day. And from there, I'm going to go to 1 Peter. I'm going to go to 1 Peter from there. Did I pass it? I passed it. Just bear with me. Let me get to First Peter. Passing Peter. Oh, there we go. I passed it. Salakia. 1 Peter 4. 1 Peter 4, 1 through 2. And it reads, "For as much then as Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind." So this is why he said in Philippians, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ HaMashiach." Same mind. For he that hath suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. So you have to stop sinning. And all those that call on the name of the Lord, he said in Timothy, they must turn from wrongdoing. They can't continue doing it. And let's see, verse 2. Chapter 4, verse 2. "That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of God." This has to be all to the will of God and not to the... We can't be doing it. We ought to obey God rather than men, like Peter said in the book of Acts, chapter 5. We have to obey God rather than men. And from there, I'm going to go to Joshua. Go to Joshua. The book of Joshua. Those sticky pages here. Joshua chapter 1, verse 8 through 9. And this reads, "This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therewith. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." This is when you're going to have good success, and you're going to make your way prosperous. Because you can't let this thing depart out of your mouth. You have to be studying daily. You always have to be in the scriptures. Verse 9, "Have not I commanded thee? Be strong, and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest." Wherever you go, the Lord is going to be with you. So he's saying, don't be worried, don't be afraid. And from there, I'm going to go back to the book of John. I'm going to go back to the book of John, chapter 8. And I'm going to read verse 31 through 32. And that reads, "Then said Hamashiach to those Jews which believed on him, If you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed." So listen to that statement. He said, if you continue in my words, then you're my disciples indeed. Verse 32. "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So you're going to be set free from this bondage, the shackles of your mind. And we're in captivity. He's going to get us out of this physically, out of this captivity and bondage we're in. Shalakia, with all these adversaries of ours. But he's going to free you of the shackles of your mind. That's what he's going to do. He's going to give you a new mind and a new heart. And from there, I'm going to go to the book, same book, John, but chapter 15. I'm just going to go over a couple chapters. Chapter 15 and verse 8. And that reads, "Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So you shall be my disciples." So if you continue in bearing the fruit, like he said in John 15, he's ordained us to bear forth fruit. He says, "You did not choose me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go out and bear fruit." Then he says, "Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So you shall be my disciples." Then you'll be his disciples. So there's a stipulation to being his disciples. We have to continue doing the law, statutes, and commandments. That's what he's saying. And from there, I'm going to go to verse 10. And it says, if you keep my commandments, yeah, this is chapter 15, verse 10 of John. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. So this is what he's saying. If we keep the commandments, we'll abide in his love. Just like he kept his Father's commandments and abide in his love. So this is something we have to continue to do. We can't stop with this. And from there, I'm going to go to the book of Revelations. I'm going to go to the book of Revelations, chapter 2, verse 25, and I'm going to read through 29. And it reads, but that which you have already, hold fast till I come. Verse 26, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations. So look at this reward that you're going to get. You're going to get power over all the nations. Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. So it's going to be a nice reward. You're going to get that kingdom and you're going to be in rulership again. Verse 28, and I will give him the morning star. So this is a lot of rewards you're going to get for keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Verse 29, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. And we know he's talking about the 7 churches, not just all these churches that are teaching our people lies and deceits, keeping them asleep. He was talking to the 7 churches. But our people that are in those churches, they need to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. Because that's a lot of our family members, and a lot of our blood relatives. But Christ said, and who is my mother and who is my brother? He said, those that do the will of my Father. Those are my brothers, sisters, and mother, and all those people. Those are our blood relatives, but our family is the ones that are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the ones that are in the body. Those are our family. Christ was making that distinction there. And from there, I'm going to go to Romans chapter 13. And I'm going to read 11 through 12. And that reads, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. It's high time, Yasharahla, to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Everybody sees the writings on the walls. They see what's going on in the world. Everybody's seeing the news. It's near. Verse 12. The night is far spent. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. And putting on the armor of light is putting on Christ, putting on Yahushua, and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments every single day of our life. And with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shem HaMashiach, Yahushua. Shalom.